Everyone not to drink and drive.
They say they're making 20 to 30 DUI arrests every month. Valley News Team's Ethan Kramer talked to a Fargo patrol officer to learn about the significance of drunk driving.
Drunk driving, it can lead to death and even time in jail. Fargo Patrol Sergeant Lucas Mock says getting behind the wheel is a really bad idea after consuming alcohol.
So alcohol really affects the functioning of the brain. Right? It impairs thinking, reasoning, and then overall muscle coordination. Which are all abilities that are required to operate a motor vehicle safely.
Fargo PD has made 96 arrests for DUIs over the last 6 months. But the other astonishing number is the amount of DUI arrests they are making per month.
In the city of Fargo, our officers make about 20 to 30 arrests for DUI each month.
Fargo patrol officers are looking for certain patterns when identifying a possible DUI.
And at bloodshot, watery eyes, we have an odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from their breath. Do they have poor balance?
Mock says officers make frequent traffic stops for other things that turn into DUIs.
It happens fairly often where officers will make in essence, a routine traffic stop, right? So we'll have an equipment violation or a moving violation, and during the course of the investigation, they'll note those signs of impairment, which will lead us to believe that they are under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and then make that arrest for driving under the influence.
Mock had a few pieces of advice if you're ever thinking about drinking and driving.
Safe, sober ride home is our best advice. We have so many rideshare options, Uber, Lyft, taxis, designated driver early on in the night. Just prepare, plan for that. So just don't drive under the influence.
According to the National Highway Traffic Administration, around 11,000 people die every year from drunk driving. Reporting in Fargo, Ethan Kramer, Valley News Live.
Fargo police are also reminding people to call law enforcement if you suspect someone is drunk driving.